The Grammy Award-winning baritone Lucas Meacham has a commanding presence, according to the San Francisco Chronicle, and the Opera Pulse calls him a rock star of opera. He's returned with performances at the San Francisco Opera, Lyric Opera of Chicago, Dallas, Festival Napa Valley, and he's come to Santa Fe as the title role in Eugene Onegin. Welcome and thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Brent.
I think you've played Onegin before. How does the approach to the character differ with different productions?
Yeah, this is my fourth Onegin, and it does differ quite a lot. It mostly depends on whether or not they do a traditional Onegin or a modern one, and I've been involved in both. And honestly, the traditional ones are great. The words mean what the words mean. The music tells the story. But when you get into a modern take, you start to really, have a new outlook on the character himself and all the characters and the relationships between these people. And so for the first 10 days of rehearsal in the modern one I did in Montpellier, it was like banging my head against the wall, trying to understand how it could possibly be what it was. And then something clicked between the director and I, and we just got along so well, and the production ended up going so well. And so we need, every art form needs modern take. Because if a modern take never happened, then Mozart never became Rossini, Rossini never became Puccini, Puccini never became Verdi, Wagner, Ives, so that's how art evolves. And so I'm thankful for the modern takes on operas. Gives a fresh look.
How about the character of Onegin in this production? Is he a bad guy? Is he a conflicted or confused guy? What do you think?
Well, I play some of the baddies of opera, Don Giovanni, Onegin, and when I sing those characters, I never think negative thoughts about them. I think that they're either confused, they're a product of their times, they're ahead of their time, or something of that nature, so that I don't have any negative connotation of the person that I'm playing, because I don't know a person that goes through life thinking, I'm a terrible person and I just love being terrible. It's not very human-like. And being human, that's sort of the essence of why opera has lasted for so many centuries, is that it cuts to the core of what it means to be one of our species. It cuts to the essence of being human, both emotionally and dramatically. And so you start to understand how this person could be acting this way. And that's my goal as an actor, is to say to the audience, he might be making poor decisions, but at least understand why he's making those decisions. And then you can empathize and you can sympathize and start to understand more about the character. So yeah, it's a good question.
And ultimately, it is up to the audience to be able to judge. So if you're playing it honestly, the audience can make an honest judgment about the characters on stage.
Exactly.
I would think that Onegin is considered a plum role for a baritone. Did Tchaikovsky write well for the human voice?
Oh, yeah, he wrote well for everything. He's probably one of my top 5 favorite composers of all time. And uh, what makes a composer great, in my opinion, is the same thing that makes a singer great, in my opinion. It's that you hear or see 10 seconds of a clip of that singer or composer, and you know exactly who it is, because they have that unique stamp that they give to everything that they write or perform. And Tchaikovsky is no different. And yes, he did write quite a beautiful role for the baritone voice in Eugene Onegin. He also wrote an amazing role for a soprano voice. And Sarah Jakubiak, my partner in crime, who's singing Tatiana, is bringing just such glorious sounds and acting to her role as well. So it's a kind of a match made in heaven. A last minute match made in heaven.
Sarah ended up coming in a former apprentice at the last minute. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. We both were hired very last minute due to some visa issues that are going around due to the pandemic and due to bureaucracy. And I just feel it was originally supposed to be Etienne Dupuis and his wife, Nicole Carr. And I love them. They're such talented people and such great artists. And I know that if I had a gig and a contract to be in Paris at this time, and it was canceled due to visa issues, I would be equally disappointed. So I know they were looking forward to being here, and we're doing our best to keep their memories and their talent level the same while we're here. And that's been in the back of my mind a lot.
Boy, that last scene of Onegin is just fireworks. It is huge and easily one of the most dramatic things I think I've ever seen on an opera stage. So you guys really brought it to the performance on opening night.
Well, thank you so much. You know, that last scene, Onyegin's a very interesting role in the fact that some roles you come out like you're shot out of a cannon. Like the Barber of Seville, you sing the Figaro, Figaro aria, and everybody knows it. And then it gets slowly and slowly less and less throughout the night. But Onegin, the role of Evgeny Onegin, he comes out and he sings a little quartet, you know, a little thing here, a little thing there, and then the second act he sings a little more, and then Act Three is gangbusters all the way to the finale, which you talked about, which is just it's absolutely phenomenal music. It's beautifully orchestrated, and hopefully, when we do it, beautifully sung.
And heartrending. Tell me about we already talked about stepping in at the last minute, but tell me some about the rehearsal process, with the COVID restrictions in place. I know all the singers are in masks. I think everyone is. How does that how do you navigate the normal rehearsal process and development of character and development of your voice and the through lines and all that when you're all in masks?
Yeah. Well, that's a great question, and it's really the new times that we live in. This is my fifth gig back since COVID, since March, and every company has a slightly different take on their COVID procedures based on the CDC or their local health authorities. And Santa Fe is no different. Despite being an outdoor rehearsal venue and an outdoor performance venue, we have been wearing masks even though we've been outdoors. And they're trying to. The whole point is they're trying to keep us as safe as possible. And they've already lost one season last year 2020, so they really don't want to lose another one 21, and they're doing their best to keep us safe. Regarding the rehearsal process, it has been a little bit difficult because half of your emotions, if I do this is what you have to look at, and hopefully, am I happy, am I sad, I'm happy. It's like, so all of a sudden the emotions on your colleagues' faces become much more clear when we take the mask off. It's also quite difficult to sing with a mask, not in the way that it's difficult to go to the grocery store in a mask. Wear your mask in a grocery store inside, fine, that's not hard. But to take a full singer breath and then emote in the way that an opera singer has to, because we don't use microphones, we use the human voice to amplify over thousands of seats in the house, it becomes a little bit difficult. So that was probably the most difficult thing with masks for me, is figuring out the pacing of the role vocally, even though I was wearing masks in rehearsals.
And do you have a sense, in your ear and in your bones of how loud you are so that even though you're wearing a mask, or or the first time that you take off the mask and you're on stage, is it kind of a revelation of
I felt like I was in shackles, and then I removed my shackles, and then I could sing. When I removed the mask, it really is quite difficult to sing and feel the direction of the voice when it hits a wall 3 inches in front of your mouth. So it has been challenging, but we are up to that challenge as singers. We safety is paramount. Safety is first. If the show cancels, then it doesn't matter if we had masks or not. So that's the most important thing, is the show must go on. And that's what the COVID procedures are about, is helping that to happen.
and while it's a different situation, in many cases, you're rehearsing in a rehearsal hall, which can be quite less than ideal acoustically, and then move to a stage. So while it's a new challenge, there's always that challenge.
Yeah, that's very fair. That's very fair. Yeah, because normally sometimes we rehearse in small spaces that either have, a great sound or not a great sound, and then you show up on stage, it's a totally different beast. So yeah, you're right.
So this is not your first time with the Santa Fe Opera. What do you do in your downtime? What's fun for you in New Mexico?
I've been to, so my son is 2.5 years old and he's with me here. And we went to the Bug Museum the other day, the insect museum, and he loved it. They have snakes, they have frogs, they have tarantulas and all sorts of fun stuff. And we try not to let him play with bugs too much, but he just loves insects, and he's very curious about them. So we've been to the Bug Museum a few times. We go to the pool on campus at the Santa Fe Opera. It's a very lovely place to be, and yeah, we've we're just kind of settling in now. Now that all the rehearsals are done, now we have time to take a breather and sort of relax a little bit.
Lucas Meacham plays Eugene Onegin at the Santa Fe Opera this season. Tickets are available at santafeopera.org. And Lucas Meacham, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.